Fact are, when you walk onto a floor and you vote against a bill designed to keep the government open, then you're by default voting to shut it down. And right now, that's the Democrat Party. That shouldn't offend anybody. What they really should...
Immigration been making the news. It's all over the news. And what's your thought on that, first before we start?
So I think that the term immigration, right, depending on who you talk to, can be kind of hijacked and used as a tool, a weapon.
Yeah.
Let's focus on it. So my challenge with education is the more government gets involved with it, the worse it becomes. I've told folks many, many times that in education right now, politicians basically it's like a person in a hole with the shovel trying to dig their way out. I want to support the state. I want to see a government that's rolling up the sleeves, getting his hands dirty, working with legislators, working with policymakers, working with business leaders.
Another video, man. I'm here with Mr. Buckson, Senator Buckson from Delaware. How you doing?
I'm great, my man. My privilege.
How everything with you so far?
Beautiful day, beautiful day. Got through a little bit of rain last night, but I love the way the weather breaks. Nice fall, crisp day. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Maybe share some thoughts, story, whatever.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you live in Delaware, you're gonna hear a lot of I'm gonna try to ask a lot of questions concerning the city, guys. Let's start a little bit from your background, right?
Sure.
You from a business background, graduated from the university in a business degree, right?
So, sort of. I got a fitness management degree, which meant that I wanted to go to school to operate a gym, an exercise facility. Yeah. That led me to sports medicine, athletic training. Athletic training led me to a job first with Del State and then with Polytech High School. After that, I became an educator, a teacher, and did 30 years teaching school at Polytech High School. So, God has a plan. That was his plan for me, and now here we are.
All right, so what point in your life you like, I need to get into politics? Politics is where I belong. Where you get the idea from?
So some folks hearing this may know, and others will know now, my father was governor of the state of Delaware.
Oh, wow.
Now, the interesting story is he was governor for 17 days. He was lieutenant governor, and the governor at that time had run for Senate at the federal level. He won, and because of that, the lieutenant governor had to switch out and move up to governor, which meant governor for 17 days. Always been privileged to say that, and it kind of led me to having an itch to want to serve. It's really what I watched my father. He was a great public servant. Didn't care which side of the aisle you were on, didn't care if you were young, old, rich, poor, white, black, didn't matter. He just enjoyed the interaction, enjoyed the opportunity to help, and it kind of, I kind of watched it, learned from it, wanted to do it. Now I'm here.
Sad, dude. So you were into your first term, right?
I am into my, it's unique right now. Here's what we got. So as a senator, it's typically a 4-year term.
Yeah.
But every 10 years, we do a census. So we calculate the population for Delaware and the districts. And because of that, you end up doing a 2-year term. So it's only my 3rd year being a senator, but I'm into my 2nd term.
Wow.
So a little weird, a little quirky.
Something a little different.
But I'm not up for election again for another 3 years.
All right, so pretty good. So far, is any challenge you face? Or?
Well, I'm a Republican. I'm in a very blue state, so it means it's super majority controlled by the Democrat Party. That's okay. That's the way the population is. They supported that. I have no problems with it, other than the fact that it does make it challenging sometimes for me to get my points across. For me to maybe get folks to understand better from my perspective what I think needs to be done, because of the fact that I'm in the minority party. Yeah. And they're not always willing to kind of hear me out. At least that's my take. So if there was one challenge, politically speaking, that's probably what it is. So.
All right. So on the federal level, right? They're talking about education, bringing education down to the state level, right? And what's your thought on that?
So my challenge with education is the more government gets involved with it, the worse it becomes. I've told folks many, many times that In education right now, politicians basically are, it's like a person in a hole with the shovel trying to dig their way out. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
You got to climb your way out. And the best way that we can do it as elected officials is return control back to the classroom teacher. Simplify things, get back to the basics so that our children can get the foundation at a very early age. Very early age. It's real simple. It's reading, writing, and arithmetic. Focus on that so that when they become 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, on up to high school and graduate, they got a good basic foundation. And when you do that, then the ones that are, let's say, more set up for college can take that path. And the ones that aren't necessarily interested in that college track, that we have the road for them to go back and do the trades or the skills. What we did, I think, in the last 15 years or so, is we got away from the trades and skills. We got so hyped up and focused on college as everything because politicians and electeds kind of said that what we did was we left the whole generation out of folks that they're successful as they want to be, but they didn't need college to do that. So that's why I say we got to get back to the basics. And that's why I say when it comes to the federal level or the local level, the best thing we can do as politicians is kind of get out of the way, quit complicating things, and let the schools themselves get back to the basics.
All right. So now, I spoke to city level council people, right? And they told me a lot of kids graduating from high school having problem with reading, doing math, and other programs, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's your thought on early child program, early child care?
So that's an important factor. How do students end up in high school that they don't effectively read, they don't effectively do math? It's because at an early age they were passed on, right? They were given the lessons and they were given the credit for work that they really didn't have a clear understanding of. But because we don't want No Child Left Behind, again, a government policy, right, that was enacted a long time ago, it actually did more harm than good. Because what it did was it forced school districts to move children along, to keep them on track to graduate. The problem with that is many kids were moved up to the next levels that didn't have a clear understanding. So now they're in high school. They're not at grade level, but they're at grade. So they're not at a 9th grade reading level, but they're in 9th grade now. That makes no sense. So the fact is, for me, what I think we need to do is get back to that the child gets what they earn, that the parents have to get involved in that child's education. And if the child does fall behind, that's not bad as long as we give them the tools and the resources to catch up. You have to get them to earn it. Accountability has to matter. Right now, again, we don't need to give them the tools to earn it because we just move them along. So now they're in high school and now they don't know how to effectively read. I mean, they can read, but it's not effective. That's the rub that I see. That's what I see needs to happen. So accountability.
Is the state having any plan to create like a early child care, like something?
They are. Yeah, we're spending
like Head Start program or anything like that?
We're spending a tremendous amount of money in early childhood education, right? We've expanded it now into pre-K, so we're doing all that right now. That's important. It certainly allows kids to enter into the kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, maybe at an on-level rate, which is a good thing, right? But if you don't get that accountability, even at 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, eventually what you begin to have, though, is still students that are being moved on that aren't ready to move on. You know, everybody learns to walk at a different age, right? Some learn how to walk at 12 months, some are at 14 months. Same thing happens with reading and math. So when you push kids on that aren't ready to move on, you actually hurt them. You think you're helping, you actually hurt them. But early childhood is an important aspect. It's a costly aspect, comes with a cost. But so does having kids enter 9th grade, 10th grade that can't read. So it's, I think, worth the rub.
All right. So we talking about in Smyrna, Delaware, they having teacher having protests, right? They probably over by now, but I'm not sure. But they want a pay increase, right?
Right.
Is the state doing anything to focus on teachers?
Yeah, so, you know, the state of Delaware in the last 3 to 4 years has increased the budget significantly, specifically centered around pay increases in healthcare and other things. So what you really got to understand when you look at this, when they ask for more money, totally understand that. But there's only so much money out there, and that it has to be budgeted, right? I'm an educator. I have a daughter that's an educator. I absolutely value what you do and I absolutely want you to be fairly paid. But we have to recognize that there is a limit in the budget to how much we can afford at this time. So to answer your question about Smyrna and others, we've done a lot. The state of Delaware's done a lot to increase pay for teachers right now. That's one of the primary focuses that we've had over the last 2 to 3 years. But it does come with a limit, you know. I do support Smyrna though. I do think they've made some fair points to articulate why they feel they deserve more locally.
We actually do have time for that.
They're not eligible for the health care subsidies that Democrats are demanding. So can you clarify, what are you talking about when you say Democrats want to protect their health care?
So when an illegal person comes in, a person who came into our country illegally, therefore breaking the law, and look, we all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than you do. They're all breaking the law, and they're coming into our country. And we just, as a country, cannot afford to take care of millions of people who have broken the law coming in. We want them to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally. Now we have a strong border, very strong border, thanks to Christie and Tom Holman and the whole group. They've done an amazing job at the border. I mean, we had a border that was reckless. We had a border that was a disaster. They were coming in by the millions. I say 25 million people. You're saying less, but I say 25 million people came in illegally.
Now we're going to focus on immigration for a little bit, right?
Sure.
You know, immigration been making the news. It's all over the news.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your thought on that, first before we start?
So I think that the term immigration, right, depending on who you talk to, can be kind of hijacked and used as a tool, a weapon.
Yeah.
Let's focus on immigration. The facts are that this country was built on immigrants. That's no argument there. The question we're living in right now in 2025, post-Biden election and post-Biden presidency, was what do we do with the fact that during that time there was mass crossings across our border? That's just a fact. People shouldn't be upset about it. We need to realize it. And when you have millions come into the country, not the proper way, right? Regardless of the circumstances, that's what's happened. You have a choice to make. Are you set up to deal with that? Is there enough housing? Is there enough availability of jobs? Is there enough in the terms of healthcare? Is there enough space in education? You have to acknowledge that. If I'm a government official and we have only so much money, you have to acknowledge what happened in the last 3 to 4 years that led to this big conversation centered around what do we do now? People ask me my thoughts on immigration. My thoughts on immigration as a Republican senator are the same as Barack Obama when he was president, or Bill Clinton when he was president. We're both Democrats. They all said that we want legal immigration. We want folks to be able to come into this country legally, right, and live the American dream. And I still support that. But that's different than what happened over the last 2 to 3 years at the end of the Biden administration. And again, that's not offensive. That happened on our borders where we had millions crossing over into the country, humans, not arguing that they're not good people or whatever, but the system and how it's designed when it comes to healthcare, education, availability of housing to deal with that. And that's fair to ask, right? That's fair to say, as an elected official, what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, ICE all over the news too?
ICE.
ICE. They're moving
Sure.
around. Do immigration in Delaware be afraid?
Should immigration in Delaware what?
Yeah. Be afraid.
Oh, should immigrants be afraid?
Immigrant. Do immigration?
So no, obviously not, right? So anyone who's an immigrant here in Delaware, in the country, in fact, obviously has no fear. Now, if you're undocumented, or if you crossed over to the border and you're not here through proper documentation or the quote legal way, which shouldn't be offensive to anybody, should you have a concern? I mean, that's up to you. If you're a criminal, if you've committed those acts like it's been advertised you are, I think we would hope that they have a concern. We don't want that type of person here that's committing serious crime. But that's not what you're asking me. You're asking me is the person that's been here for years and operated, kind of in the community. Yeah. I totally get it. I totally understand those folks. In fact, I've had many conversations with them. There is no question in my mind that we as a government have failed to enforce the borders and the rules that we have, and you have people like that living here, and I support them. I think that we have to recognize they've been here operating businesses, they've defended the country, they've enjoyed family time with each other, and there's no question in my mind those are not what I see as going after, targeting, and trying to get out of here. I don't see that at all. I support those folks. I mean, I see their story as an American story, right? Yeah. And we as Americans and we as a government have to understand that in that scenario, the last thing I want to see is someone that's living in our communities, that's raised a family in the communities, being fearful of being deported. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. We're going to have to come up with a different plan system in order to deal with that. However, circling back, the original question about folks that are here illegal that are committing criminal acts, it is what it is.
That's against the law.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You're right. It's against the law.
To do the reassessment, that kind of idea.
During this court-ordered reassessment, lots of Delaware property owners believe the outside assessment company highly overvalued their properties and are now shocked by the high tax bills they're receiving.
Particularly Newcastle County, people have literally seen their property values increase triple the amount that it was.
Right.
Much of the hike in Newcastle County comes from school.
So we're gonna turn to taxes, right? Property taxes, because I see on the news a lot of you had a problem with raising property tax.
Sure.
In the city, not in the city, but in the state, different area. Mm-hmm. What's your thought
on property?
What you prefer?
The problem with government runs on taxes, so it means it runs off of your money and my money. We work, we pay taxes. The government should take just what it needs to run the government, but when you continue to expand the size and scope of the government and the services that we offer, the only way to keep that going is to take more money from your paycheck and mine, right? Mm-hmm. Or from your household and mine when it comes to property taxes. So I understand why, folks want more services, but you cannot ignore the fact that that means you're going to take more of your money. I mean, there's no other way around it unless you do what we're constantly doing right now, which is printing money. We're basically putting money on a credit card, which is the national debt. Mm-hmm. It's $37 trillion right now and going. And that's the only way you pay for it. So what's my thought on taxes?
Yeah.
My thought on taxes is that taxes are necessary.
Of course it's necessary, but property tax increase. What's your thought on that?
Again, why do we increase property taxes? Two reasons mainly. One's to pay for schools, the other one's to pay for the county government. It's really what it comes down to. Those are the two things that are the cost drivers right now. So we all want good schools, right? So we need to make sure that schools are properly funded. But you got to get into it. How much of it already right now is a taxpayer paying? How much are they already paying for property taxes for the county government? I leave that up to the resident to decide, Nobody wants to see their property taxes go up, but at the same time, costs are going up everywhere. Yeah, costs are going up everywhere. You mentioned teachers.
Yeah,
Smyrna wants, their teachers are now protesting because they think that they should, in their contract, negotiate a higher wage rate. And if you agree with them, and there's merit to that, where does that money come from? It comes from the property tax. That's where it comes from, period. So, if you agree to what they're saying, then you have to agree that you're going to have to pay more property taxes or more money towards, school district, which, it's not easy to say.
Yeah. So you were into your term. Mm-hmm. What's your main goal for the future of Delaware?
Yeah, so I don't know, good governance, I think. I think getting folks to recognize what I just said earlier. Mm-hmm. Whether you're talking about taxes, whether you're talking about immigration, whether you're talking about education. Mm-hmm. Take the emotion out of it, don't get offensive. Look at it from a common sense, analytical perspective. And that's what I say. So that's the goal for me, is to try and present this as much as I can to Delawareans, to say, if I'm talking about, let's say, immigration, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm saying let's deal with it, all right? Let's accept the reality and deal with it. If I'm talking about education, I'm not talking about failing kids and leaving them on the streets not coming to school. I'm saying you got to deal with the reality. Accountability matters. Taxes the same way. I'm not saying that I don't want to pay for stuff. What I'm saying is every time you increase the tax, it's coming from somebody. So that's the goal.
That's the goal.
Stalemate over the government shutdown. It's now day 20 and the fallout is spreading. The Supreme Court building is closed to the public as federal courts begin to run out of funding. Fox 5's Maureen Ume is live this morning in Capitol Hill with the latest. Maureen.
Yeah, it's been a quiet morning here, but the pressure is steadily rising as people are looking to an end to the shutdown. As you said, this is now day 20 of this shutdown, and it is affecting our court system, the federal judiciary system. Now, saying that buildings will be closed, services perhaps halted.
The government, federal government shutdown process going on right now in the country, right?
Yeah, sure.
What's your thought on that, and how the city able to balance the budget with that going on?
So that government shutdown thing, I mean, again, it becomes political, right? You start watching it in the news, everybody's like, wow, who's to blame? You know, it doesn't matter now. It's shut down. Who's going to be responsible for opening it up? Well, I look at historical facts. Historical facts are when you walk onto a floor and you vote against a bill designed to keep the government open, then you're by default voting to shut it down. And right now, that's the Democrat Party. That shouldn't offend anybody. What they really should be doing, if you're in the minority party, which is the Democrat Party at the federal level, is just straight up be honest and say, yeah, but it's because we believe that health care is such a priority, and if we continue in the path we're on, we're going to cut off health care affordability. Just say that. But my problem is right now is that what you shouldn't do is shut the government down in order to get your way. You got to keep the government open, because right now when you do that, you're hurting people, places, and things. What should be done is we should open up the government, something that both sides have consistently done for years, and sit at a table and negotiate. But you can't negotiate, in my opinion, under duress, which is what's happened right now. Essentially, because you need 60 votes to pass it, the Democrat Party has taken the bill that would open the government up, held it hostage, provided a list of demands. If those demands are met, they'll agree to open it up. And Republicans are saying, well, we're not going to do this under a hostage situation. We'll agree to meet, but only after you open the government. So depending on which side you're on, you hear truth on both sides, right? But I take the emotion out of it. We got to open the government up, got to sit at a table, and we got to figure this out.
Wow. All right. So with that going on, a lot of people going to be affected, especially the Delawarean.
Sure.
What this state doing to soften the blow when it comes to like benefit program and stuff like that?
So if you're talking, one of the biggest fights you got is Medicaid, right? Medicaid. There's two main things. There's Obamacare, which is Affordable Care Act, and there's Medicaid. The problem with Medicaid in the state of Delaware or any other state is the federal government spends the predominance of the funds. So let's say we run a Medicaid program here in Delaware. The state will come up with 25, 30% of the total cost. The federal government has to come up with 70%. So that's why the federal government's saying that we've got to get control of the spending. Because remember that $37 trillion debt that we have? If we don't stop, it'll be $38 trillion next year, and then $39 trillion. Eventually, it's like a credit card that you can't pay for. Then the house goes bankrupt. And that's what the fear factor is. So what is the state doing about it? I mean, the state's kind of limited in what they can do. If the federal government decides to push more costs to the state, then the state of Delaware has to decide what programs that we're offering can we continue to offer that we can afford. And if we can't, we got to stop them or limit them, or we got to come back and get more money from the taxpayer. That's just how it's going to work. So when you say, what is the state doing right now to soften the blow? Well, right now the majority of folks, they haven't felt it yet. But when they do, the state's going to have a decision to make.
All right, so our governor, right? I saw a couple video on the internet of you going talking about him, man. What do you think about the job he's doing right now as a governor?
Well, you know, it's Governor Myers is a county guy who's now, you know, running the state. So to his credit, there's a learning curve in the first year. And I think it's fair to be critical sometimes, which I've been. I want Delaware to do great. And so I want our leaders to make sure Delaware's great. And so, you know, there's a part of me that wants him to be successful. But right now what I see a lot of is kind of a lot of sidebar stuff, right? We're going up and down the state celebrating, you know, passing of laws that he really didn't have anything to do with. And going on national media talking about national issues. And remember what I said earlier, I want to support the state. I want to see a government that's rolling up the sleeves, getting his hands dirty, working with legislators, working with policymakers, working with, you know, business leaders, educational leaders, hand in hand to try and fix some of Delaware's problems. And my personal take in his first year is that I'm not seeing that. Again, I'm seeing a lot of you know, going up and down the state, getting headlines, celebrating bills that he didn't pass, and going on national media. And that's not helping Delaware, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got you. Do you see yourself running for governor in the future, though? You got it in your background.
I do. You know, listen, I'd be honored to even be considered for that. And I'd love the opportunity to be at the head of the table to kind of assist the right people in helping Delaware. I'd love to make that happen. But look, man, we're in a blue state. We're in a state that's majority Democrat. And I don't say that offensively, that's just true. And so, hi guys. And so, you know, the reality is for me as a Republican senator, it's a long shot. It's a long shot, you know? And I don't want anybody looking at this, especially if you're in the, you know, Democrat Party. I have no ill will. You know, I like people. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. I'm willing to talk to you, listen to you, but I'm just spitting facts to you right now. The reality is me running for something like that, national level or state level, love to do it. Definitely something that's crossed my mind, but it's a long shot. Eyes will be wide open.
Yeah. So we're getting closer to the end, man. Is there anything you want to put out there that people don't know yet? Or laws you trying to bring to the forefront? Or something you're trying to get past or anything?
You know what, man? I think if I could say anything to anyone that's listening to this towards the end is me personally. We talked about, you know, the party, Republican, Democrat. We made some comments related to that. But me personally, when it comes to meeting folks like yourself or folks that are listening, all that goes to the side. Remember what I said about my father? Didn't care whether or not you were young, old, you know, whether you're Democrat, Republican, white, black, didn't matter to him. I truly believe in my heart I'm the same way. Doesn't matter. I want to talk. I want to help. I want to understand the issues. If I say anything that challenges somebody, maybe creates a little rub, all good. Come talk to me about it. Let's have a conversation, you know, because mentioned one that was really challenging a few minutes ago, immigration.
Yeah.
And I mentioned something that, whether it's my party or the opposite side, would challenge you. I just believe that we have folks that are among us right now that are active members of the community, who have children that are going to school with my kids when they were in school, or played Little League. We have no idea what their story was, whether or not they were, quote, legal or illegal. We just knew that they were good people. Faith, family, and freedom. And I always remind myself when I'm trying to work and navigate difficult subjects, the humanity of it is real. Faith, family, and freedom. You know, God's watching all of us, and I just want to do the right thing.
All right. Senator Buckson, thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate you, my man.
Definitely gonna do it again sometime.
Hey, let's run it back.
Thank you.
Run it back.
Hey guys, go ahead and become a citizen, all right?